Hey guys, we were talking yesterday about what it meant to be a part of the race and run a good race. We've talked about fighting the good fight. Let's run a good race. And the race begins with us qualifying. The race begins with us getting our names on the list at least. And Jesus spoke to a guy by the name of Nicodemus in John chapter 3. I'm sure you know it well. And Nicodemus basically came to Jesus and said, "So Jesus, I really have heard you teaching. I'm intrigued by what you have to say. And Jesus, I want to go to heaven. Jesus, you've spoken a bit about that, but can you just help me with this thing? Help me to understand what this is, this thing about becoming a believer." And Jesus, with great compassion, gave terminology that you get battle ever to beat. He said to Nicodemus, "I see your heart. I see that you are genuinely wanting to get your name in the book, and I'm seeing that you're genuinely wanting to get to heaven, and yet you're desperate to know." He says, "This is what you have to do. You need to be born again." Those two words are two words that are associated with the Christian experience. Jesus said those two words, just be born again. Now, can you imagine Nicodemus? You can't blame the guy thinking, how do I enter back into my mother's womb again and be born again? Is that possible? And Jesus again, with a compassionate smile, said, "No, that's not what it's about." What he was saying was, you've been born of the flesh, you've born physically, that's your first birth. But there is a second birth that still needs to take place, and that is a spiritual birth. Because you see, people, back in the Garden of Eden, there was a lot of death there. There was life at first, it was life of perfection. But when sin came into the world, death came with it. And spiritual death was the way. Adam and Eve should never have died physically or spiritually. That wasn't the plan. But Satan came in and he traumatized the system. He provoked horrible things, and he caused physical and spiritual death to become a reality to mankind. And so Jesus says, your spirit is dead. You needed to become alive again. You therefore need to be born again. Now that terminology people have laughed at it, people have mocked it. Well, we don't care, because it's the real thing. To be born again is to be born of the Spirit, where our spirits become alive again unto God, because sin has done a job on us. Sin has just not hampered our spirit. Sin has not just rejected our spirit. Sin has not just made our spirit weaker. Sin has killed us spiritually. And so until we become born again by the Spirit of God through repentance and through our names being put in the book, there is no born again experience. Our spirits remain dead. But the beauty is, man, Jesus is the answer to death, isn't he? He certainly took care of his own death, didn't he? And if he can take care of his own death physically, he can take care of ours spiritually as well. So as much as this terminology may sound sort of mysterious, I guess it is a mystery. It is a mystery. There's lots of mysteries. And a mystery is not something that is there to be solved. A mystery is a beautiful truth that we need to grasp and hold on to as if it made all the common sense in the world. So grab this one, people. Let's be born again by the Spirit of God, where our spirit, which was once dead in sin and trespass and in a mess, becomes alive to God. And that's the most remarkable, dynamic dimension of what our Christian experience does. It doesn't become alive again where we just do nice things or try and be a nice person or go on a course. It's not going to help it. It becomes alive when we commit ourselves to Christ, and His Spirit comes in, dwells within us, revives our deadness of spirit, and we become born again to God. These are simple truths. Simple truths. Today, acknowledge it, and let's revel in the wonder of a born again experience. Let's do that today, and thank God for it. Bye-bye, guys. See you tomorrow.